Welcome to our cheating stories, where Ob tells us of his regret. I hope you enjoy. Story 1. I still regret it. It's been 35 years, and I still regret leaving. I don't know why I'm posting this, but I have to get this off my chest. I, 60 male, got married young at 18. I married my high school sweetheart. She was smart, funny, kind, and the kind of person who could capture a room, very extroverted. I'm incredibly introverted, but we were a good match. By the time we were 25, we had 2 small children, and I was happy with how my life was. Then my wife got a new job, and she was excelling, getting promotions, working later. I think you see where this is going. You are wrong, by the way. I cheated on her. Whilst she was out working late, to make money to support our children, I was building up a resentment towards her. She wasn't home to make dinner, and I never bothered to learn how to cook. Washing would pile up for a few days, because I didn't do it, and I was doing the school run, because she was at work. But I never voiced how I felt, and every day my beautiful wife would come home, and I would put a front on, and pretend everything was fine, when it wasn't. I know if I had told her how I felt, she would have listened, but I didn't. I met a woman, at a work thing, and we spoke over the phone constantly. For a few weeks, things turned inappropriate quickly, and I didn't stop it. I wrote my wife a birthday card telling her how much I loved her, and she was an amazing person, then 2 weeks later, walked out on her. And the worst part was, she never screamed at me, or yelled. She just stood there, and watched me take my things, whilst my children were in the other room, completely oblivious to what was going on. She just stood there, silently crying. I broke the best person in my life. She ended up losing her job, because she couldn't manage the school run, or extra child arrangements. So, my alimony payments had to go up, and I resented her for that. Looking back on it now, how selfish could I be? The women who I betrayed, and was now single-handedly raising my children, needed more money to care for them. I saw them every other Saturday, but that was it. My affair partner and I fizzled almost immediately. She didn't want something with me, and she really didn't want something with me, when I was almost broke from paying alimony. My wife was, and still is, the strongest person I know. She never let me know how much I hurt her, but I heard her crying herself to sleep every night. I had to stay over for something with the kids. I spent years resenting my wife for stealing my money, when in reality, I knew it was my fault, and I still loved her, but was too proud to say. And even though I left, it was her who eventually filed for divorce, because every time she asked me if I had gotten a lawyer, I would say, "I'm not ready." Eventually she filed, because she said it was too painful. I said some really awful things to her when I was angry, like, "I didn't love you for a long time, I stayed for the children," and every time, she said nothing back. I'll never forgive myself for that. She wanted to try make it work. She fought for me every day for months, and I wasn't interested. She loved me even when I hated her. Then she met Mark. He was older, wiser, and he loved her the way I should have loved her. He was, and is, a good man to her and my children. Watching someone else love the person you were supposed to love forever is quite possibly the worst thing I've ever had to do. I blurted out, "I love you," to her 2 weeks before her wedding, and she looked at me and said, "Then you should have fought for me, because I would have loved you forever if you'd let me." On the day of her wedding, I sat outside the church in my car, telling myself I would object the wedding, but I didn't. That was 30 years ago, and seeing that written in front of me now is just as painful as it was hearing it all those years ago. Having to watch her, with him all these years, has been my punishment, and I've had the odd relationship, but nothing serious. I will never forgive myself for what I did. It should have been our 42nd wedding anniversary today. I don't think anyone survives infidelity entirely. I think you learn to live with it. End of story 1. Now, let's move on to our second story. Story 2. My ex tried to cheat. It didn't work out for him though. After some time, my ex would sleep with his phone in his pocket. Weird red flag, but I never said anything. When I noticed he wouldn't even pull up his phone in front of me, I knew something was up. One night, it slipped out of his sweats, and I woke up with it near my legs. I was just going to put it on the charge, honestly, but I saw he had a bunch of notifications and messages from a dating app. Man, I wanted to slap him awake. But I didn't. So I created a profile using a friend of mine's pictures that he never met, and I had her approval. She was his type 100%, and I knew he loved blue eyes. So, when we matched, like I knew we would, we got to chatting. We talked for about a week before I suggested meeting up. Flirting, sexual stuff. He told her/me that he was single and lived with a friend. So, I suggested him paying for a hotel room so we could do it. He said he would. We picked a spot. Mind you, I paid for everything because he was unemployed after losing his job. He drained my savings account over the year with manipulation. We're family, we take care of each other when we're in tough spots, he would say whenever I told him I didn't have extra money. I paid my student loans, all bills of a one-bedroom, and the food. This boy had the ball sack to ask me for money in person. That his mom's birthday was coming up, and he wanted to buy her something nice. So, I gave him $50. Just because it was hilarious at this point. I still think about the smile on his face in that moment. That weekend he left. Said he was going to his mom's, and that he'd probably stay the night. I kissed him goodbye, and told him to have a great time. Then I packed all of his stuff, and left it outside. I live in a U.S. city, so it went fast. Got the locks changed. He messaged me a few times on the app. I told him I was running late, because I wanted to look perfect, but I was coming, and so sorry. My friend also sent me some sexy pictures to send him that didn't fully include her face. She's a real one. I even talked him into jerking off and sending me a video. Then after making him sit until about 1 a.m., I messaged him on the dating app a picture of his belongings being rummaged through by a homeless man, and to enjoy his stay in a hotel. As soon as I did, my phone rang. I blocked his number and went to bed. He was outside of my door the Monday I came home from work. Ugly, crying, begging, telling me he was homeless and had nowhere to go. When I wasn't having it, he got angry per usual. Once he started grabbing and trying to get into my apartment, I called the police. Filed a restraining order because he did threaten my life and my pets for putting him out. Found out he ended up moving a few hours away, where his only family is, and has a job. Hopefully he learned something. There we have it. If you have enjoyed, please consider subscribing. And check out the description for more stories. Have a great day.